Hi, welcome back to Not So Obvious Watches. I'm Pete McConville. A couple of weeks ago I did a video on the deal breakers, the things that stop me buying a watch. Followed that up with a video of the deal makers, the things that make me want to buy a watch. Today I'm going to split the difference, and as the songline goes, these are things that make you go, nah. These are the things about watches that I really just don't have any interest in. Actually, it turns out that there's not a lot about individual watches that don't excite me at all. So I've broadened it out a little bit to be things about watches, perhaps brands or classes of watch, and then finally watch content that I just don't care for, plus or minus, for or against. If you're interested in that, if you're interested in what I'm not interested in, see me on the other side of the intro and we'll get into it. Okay, so we'll start with the actual parts of a watch that don't interest me. And curiously, at least two of these I don't think of as actually part of a watch anyway. The first is obviously not part of the watch, the packaging. I saw a video recently of someone talking about, I can't remember the guy's name, talking about a recent Seiko. And one of the things he really didn't like is that the packaging didn't befit the price. And I'm going, mate, there's a wasted bit of videotape. Packaging and the watch, they're not the same thing. Who gives a rat's? I just don't care. The only aspect of packaging I care about at all is that you don't overinvest, that there's not too much time, energy, money invested in something which I am going to put, at best, am going to put in a box never to be seen again. At worst, that I'm going to throw away. So yeah, I don't care about packaging. Second is bracelets and bands. For me, they're not part of the watch. They're just an accessory. They are as likely to get changed. They are more likely to get changed than kept. So I just don't care about them. There was a video I watched recently of someone reviewing a watch, and fully a third of the video about this watch was spent on an accessory to the watch, the bracelet, which just blew my mind. And yeah, so like I said, I just don't care about it. Okay, so this last one is very definitely part of the watch, and I get that other people get excited about this. It makes some sense, but it just doesn't resonate with me, and that's lume. I'm not a lume pig. I just don't care. You know, it's the sort of thing which I'll do because I have to do it for a video, but I'll do it really quick. I'll show the minimum I have to. I'm not really much of an aficionado. I cannot think of anything more boring than illuminating lume and then watching it slowly get dark. But you guys do. All power to you. But I just don't get it. Okay, so let's get into, that's really about it about watches that I just don't have any feelings for. Now let's get into some brands and segments I don't have any feeling for. The first is Hamilton. It's weird. Until I got onto watch social media, I didn't know Hamilton existed as a brand. You can't buy it in my country. I have still, I've seen like one or two at events, but I've still really not seen many, if any, Hamiltons in the metal. And yet, if you go on Facebook or if you go on sort of any kind of watch social media, you think that this vast thing. And I don't get it. I don't feel it. Even when I've tried to sort of dig into it, it's the only parts of the history which are interesting are so uniquely American that there's just nothing there for me. The next brand that doesn't do anything for me, it's really two brands, but I'm going to treat as one, is Casio and G-Shock. I suspect I just missed the train on this one. Inevitably, when people talk about those brands and get all affectionate and misty-eyed, they seem to go back to their first watches, the things that they remember either on their wrists or in the schoolyard. And as I said, I missed that train. I'm a little older than that. So G-Shocks didn't really become a thing until kind of the mid 80s, by which stage, I was finishing high school. So I don't have that childhood attachment. And then my real first sort of interaction with G-Shock was when I was issued with one by the Air Force. And then it was just like a piece of equipment. Here, have some greens. Here, have a camping kit. Here, have a sleeping bag, and here, have a G-Shock. And so it just went in that pile of crap I needed for work, but I didn't really think about very much. And that's kind of where they've always stayed with me. And the final brand that is big, look, there are lots of brands I'm not really into, and I'm only going to mention 3 here, but that's because they're big brands that get lots of discussion, but I just can't engage with. And this last one is Longines. For me, Longines feels like the perennial middle child of the watch community. A little bit too expensive to be a starter watch, but not really expensive enough to be an end point. If I was going to start watches, I start kind of below the Longines level. But once I start getting to the top end, I'm within reach, or maybe I'm well into Omega territory. They're thinking about buying or even reviewing a Longines watch, to me, is kind of like thinking of your holiday as, remembering your holiday with all the stopovers that you spent, all the transit lounges you went through. That's what Longines is to me. It's the transit lounge of modern watchmaking. And I just can't get emotionally invested in it either way. And finally, Microbrands. As a sort of market segment, I just can't get invested. I've thought about this long and hard because so many of you are really into them and have reflected that back to me and have tried to get me into it. So I've really poked at what's going on with me here. And I think what it comes down to is Microbrands offer 2 things that I'm just not interested in. The number one is fair play. Microbrands can offer amazing value for money. The problem is I don't care. I don't think that luxury and value for money belong in the same sentence. And since every one of my watches is a luxury, then I don't care about value for money. That would devalue the watch for me. The second thing that Microbrands give you is a close, intimate, personal interaction with the person behind the brand, the personality behind it. And again, I don't care. I'm not really that interested. I'm not saying they're not people I want to know. I'm not saying that they're people I don't like. But it doesn't get me interested in the watch. I just can't engage that way. The interesting thing is I do care very deeply about brands and brand histories and brand stories, not the person, not the people behind the brand, but the brand itself. And that's a problem I have with Microbrands. They don't have any of that. It's all about the person. And since I'm not particularly interested in the person, Microbrands, they just leave me cold. Okay, so I'm getting really hot and sweaty because it is stinking hot in Melbourne right now, and I cannot run the air conditioner because if I do, that is all you are going to hear. So I'll wrap this up as quickly as I can. Okay, 3 more things now. This is content, watch content. I don't hate, but I just won't watch. I have no interest in it because there's things I hate that I will watch for the hate. I will watch for the sort of the rage. But these are things which just leave me with nothing. Okay, so the first is any review, critique, overview, discussion of knockoffs or clamages, as I think the Watch Idiot called them the other day. Great word. I'm just going to call them knockoffs. Anything to do with Pagani design or any of those kind of multitude of Chinese mushroom brands aping the designs of their betters, I don't watch. I don't hate them. I don't think that they shouldn't exist. I am perfectly happy with other people engaging with it. I don't care that other people cover it. It's just not me. The next kind of video which I'll give a chance to, but I think I really ever watch much because I just don't care about it. I'm going to call it paint by number celebrity watch collections. You know, the sort of video where you figure out who the celebrity is, you figure out roughly where they fit, you know what their income's going to be, and before you've even watched the video, you can pretty much guess what watches we're going to see, what price ranges they're going to be. They're all going to be expensive. There's going to be nothing low cost, nothing interesting, nothing surprising. Kind of like I'm not that into like the people behind brands. I'm not into celebrities. I'm not into who they are and their personal watch journey. If all that's going to be is sort of show me this slow escalation in price as they, you know, went from their first Rolex with their first big record deal and ended up with diamond encrusted Pateks. I just don't care. That leads me on to the next class of video I just don't care about. And I don't watch. Even there are videos, as I said before, I don't have any personal interest in, but I will watch because I need them for my channel. And a lot of those would be, and I hate to do this to Paul Thorpe, all of Paul Thorpe's videos. I've got no personal interest in anything he says. David Khalil, no interest in anything he says. Mark Goldberg, no interest in anything he says. But I do tend to scan their videos and pay attention because there are, from a professional point of view, from an industry watcher, from a YouTuber point of view, there's nuggets in there that are nuggets in there that are of interest to me. So I don't count them, but there is another kind of video I will not watch because I have no interest. And that's the whole, oh my God, it's basically any video whose only way of interesting you is with a price range or with a celebrity's name, or worse, both. Any video that says, you know, like, oh my God, here's $1 million watch, or oh my God, you'll never guess Drake's $1 million watch. Both of those things are just boring as all hell. They're just really dull. And there's nothing of value in them. They are the empty calories, the empty reality TV calories of the watch content world. And it's not, you can't hate brand, you just cannot give a shit about it. And that's kind of where I am with those kinds of videos. So anyway, that's the end of it. That's what I've got no interest in. I'd be curious to know, what do you have no interest in? It'll be funny if any of you say that you have no interest in my videos. I'll call you a liar because by definition you've watched and commented. But I still look forward to that comment. Anyway, I've been Pete McConville. This has been Not So Obvious Watches. I'll see you later. Bye.